Hey YouTube, it's Monica, and today I have a little show and tell for you. This is one of my favorite things to do on this channel. I'm excited to share with you some of the cool stuff that I found. So I'm really good with teaching my kids to write nonfiction things, but I wanted a little fun inspiration for fictional writing. So I went to the Great Homeschool Convention like I do most years, unless of course I forget, like last year. And anyway, I found this. This is cool. It says, it's probably backwards, so just do your best. It's called Revolting Writing for Boys and Girls Who Dare. What I do is I make copies for my kids, and for those of you who watch the channel, I make packets. So here's an example of a packet. The things in red are the things I kind of want them to make a priority. And it just has everything they would do on a full week, but you'll see here it says blank day week. So a lot it's because we do school all year round, and I just make sure to log 180 days for the year. And we might be doing a 3 or a 4 or even a 2-day week, like if we have company in town. But this is for like a full week if we were to do that. And if we don't do a full week, sometimes I'll just highlight what they need to do for the week or maybe just for that day, so they have an idea. And I make packets, and I make copies of things, and I put it in this packet. And the things on the front are often things that I can't make a worksheet out of, like a reading assignment or something. So anyway, I would make copies of this book and put it in there. There's a few things that I just don't like the world's best video game. A lot of you will really like that. I don't like to encourage, obsessing over video games. But there's funny things like this one. This is gross. Would you rather lick a dirty bathroom floor or your sibling's foot? And so they do this, there's this little, basically vocabulary exercise with lovely vocabulary words such as sole, bunion, soil, callus, wart, scaly, toe jam, unhygienic, grimy, and flavor. And at the bottom it'll have like a fun fact. Feet are great tools for finding Legos in the dark. And anyway, the next page has a writing exercise. So it says, would you rather lick a dirty bathroom floor or your sibling's foot? Consider you don't know where the foot has been, and when was the last time someone mopped the bathroom floor? List the pros and cons for each choice. Then you must choose, explain your decision. And then there is a lovely little illustration started that your child can finish. So I just copy those. There's like probably 3 or 4 that I've left out that I don't like. There's the art of the fart. There's like a whole writing exercise on that. So it's just lighthearted and fun. I like it. This is something that's really, really, really cool. My body. So simple. So I have an 8 and an 11-year-old, and you can do this with a 15-year-old. And I'm going to tell you how. A lot of people say, how do I, homeschool multiple ages? Well, sometimes you have to do different things, like with the math, but something like this you don't. So the very first thing that you're going to have to do is make an outline of the child's body on like a big piece of butcher paper, okay? Like you make an outline, but it's like on the big piece of brown butcher paper. You can get it at Home Depot, sometimes an art store. And so here's like a master pattern. So there's the girl and the boy one, and they just do internal parts on this particular thing. And the very first thing we did is, body pattern number 2. And the very first thing is my brain. So there's a little thing to read, and it tells you about the brain. And then there is that. So I, again, made copies, one for each of my kid. Okay, my kids. And then you color it in. It tells you what color to color the things, and then you glue it. See their little outline that they have up here? You glue it where they tell you to glue it. And then what we do is we watch a video or 2. So sometimes my 8 and 11-year-olds watch the same video, and sometimes, like when we did the heart, The heart was pretty cool. And then the kidney and bladders, kidney and bladder, I should say kidneys and bladder. They did different videos. So they really got a good, you know, basic knowledge of what these organ systems do in the body. So it's been really fun. And so I have that as far as that goes. And then I have another one. So this is another body book, and it's very similar to the last one I just showed you. But there's a lot more detail. So this says the 5 senses, right? Great, cool. So anyway, it has reading. So I will have them alternate and read out loud. It's a good thing to have your kids do, is to read out loud, because it's not always the same as reading to themselves. So for this particular chapter, there's like all of this stuff. So I'm going to make copies of these and copies of these, and these things will get glued, you know, on there. And it's pretty cool. And the tongue, like look, you get the tongue, and you got, you know, they tell you where all the different tastes are, all the different taste buds are for salty and sour and everything. Yeah, so this one is really, really cool. The Body Book. It's by Scholastic. The other one was My Body, and it just says Teacher Created Resources. That's the company. I bet you could get it for nothing on Amazon. I got it at the convention. So, Human Anatomy Coloring Book. I'm not sure if we'll use this one this year, but I think it is going to come in handy. And this one is cool because it just gives so much detail. I don't even know that we would color it. Maybe we would. Maybe we'll do this next year. I don't know. But we'll see. This is a cool thing about homeschooling. You can see where your kid's at, if they're maxed out, if they're kind of like over something. Because, like it or not, once you reach that point where they're kind of saturated, you can try and try and try, and you can make them memorize stuff, but if they were oversaturated, they will just forget it. I mean, I don't know. That's how most people are. I'm like that. And then, of course, we're moving on to Right Start Math. I'm doing level G. So level G is interesting. Level G for Right Start Math is after your kid has learned, up to now your kid has learned division, fractions, decimals, and if you've watched my channel, you know that I also have my kids do like Kumon workbooks alongside Right Start Math. I should hold this up. Alongside the Right Start Math. So, because I think that they need a little more practice than Right Start gives, but Right Start really does teach things in a clever way. There's a lot of repetition. You may feel like the kids need to memorize stuff. Don't worry about it, because there's so much repetition, so much, that they're going to get it eventually. But this one is meant to be self-taught. This is the first one that's meant to be self-taught. So the kids go through this by themselves, which is fantastic. And so, oh, this is the solutions one. This is the lessons. So, yeah, the kids go through the lessons, and this is for mom or dad to do. But basically, it just gets their feet wet with, well, they've already got their feet wet by this point with basic algebra concepts like a missing variable and how to find it, and basic, a lot of geometry actually, a Pythagorean theorem, for instance, and the basic shapes like isosceles triangle and equilateral triangle, and you know, a parallelogram and trapezoid, and just all of these things, and they really have worked with that a lot already. And this just goes deeper. Other congruent triangles. What else? A lot of triangles, more triangles. Again, more Pythagorean theorems. So I think my son was first introduced to Pythagorean theorem definitely a year ago, if not 2. So they keep repeating, and they give you these wonderful ways of helping you to understand. And they'll teach you different ways. And I've even skipped a couple of the things because I didn't like them, but that's the cool thing about homeschooling, right? So there is a lot of geometry, a lot of geometry in here. And just one more cool thing about Bright Star this year with Level G is they give you this crazy binder, and it's all the worksheets. But like, you can take them out and easily copy them. I don't know why they did this. I don't know. Because it makes it easy to copy. I mean, it was kind of a pain in the butt to copy these things before. But not now. It's gonna be really easy. I don't know why they did that, but it's awesome. Another very cool thing I've wanted to do for a long time is speech and debate. Now I found a group, the only group I could find is they just do speech. And it's called Speakers League. And at first I was a little disappointed that it was only speech, but I realized when I went to a meeting that a debate is just mini speeches, and they're mini impromptu speeches. And in this club, they specifically do impromptu speeches as one of the kind of speeches that they teach. So, and I realized that kids really have to get used to being in front of people. That is a huge hurdle, especially for my kids. One of them I'm surprised, but it's for both of them. They both are nervous, and I told them, hey, that's why we're doing this. I don't want you to be nervous talking in front of people. So you get this like cool handbook, and they just tell you about, there's all these different like parts that the kids play, like impromptu master and poet laureate and wordsmith, and folk counter and master of ceremonies, I think that's what they call it. And they teach them how to stand at the podium, and it's so cool. And another thing I've been wanting to find, as we are getting to that point in time, is a book to just explain the body for the most part and what is happening. Okay, a lot of the books that I checked out from the library, most of them were good, and then there would be a couple of pages that I thought, oh, that was unnecessary, or that's a little too far. In my opinion, this book is great, and there's a girls one too. I really think though that what you should do is see if your local library has it, and you should preview it every last page. There's one page in particular, I don't know, some people are maybe a little squeamish about how boys wake up in the morning sometime and have a certain situation. It talks about that, and it calls it by name. So, but I like it. I feel like overall it doesn't go too far, in my opinion. So I'm really excited about what I found for logic this year. Again, for those of you who follow this channel know that I'm really into teaching logic in a more formal way, because most of us are just not naturally inclined to be super logical. It's pretty evident. So we have gone through The Fallacy Detective, and there's another book. What's the other book? Well, there's another book by the same author, Nathaniel Bluedorn and Hans Bluedorn. What a name. Anyway, The Fallacy Detective. There's another one. These are really, really, really good introductions to logical fallacies. And this is a beautiful next step. When I was going through it, I thought, oh, it might be a little academic for this age, but no, it's not. It's good, actually. Let's see. And it's going through fallacies, fallacy 5, right? It's going through different fallacies. But it does more, I feel like it does more than just that, or is it just, no, it's a lot of fallacies. But you read about it, and then they really give you examples, and you have to interact in a way that you don't really have to interact with Fallacy Detective. But with this one, it is called The Art of Argument. There's more writing and more interacting and more engagement. So it's the perfect next step. So I showed you guys the anatomy stuff that we are going to work on this year. But another thing we have been loving is MEL Science, M-E-L Science. It is a monthly chemistry subscription that you get in the mail, and it is really high quality, really good. Their experiments, I've never felt nervous about my kids doing these experiments. Some of them do have a little bit of fire, like small flames. Some chemicals that aren't overly safe, but you know, if your kid is reasonably under control and not too crazy, you're going to be okay with it, and they've been very interesting. Like the last one that he did, it was experimenting with a Danielle cell, and I'm like, what's a Danielle cell? So we looked up a cool video on a Danielle cell. It had nothing to do with male science. The male science like whets their appetite, right? And then you kind of use that, and you can just go on YouTube or go to your local library and get more information on what it is, you know, that they did their experiment on that week. And it has been super cool. I mean, from doing the male science and then like the little offshoot videos we've watched and books we've gotten, my son has learned about the periodic table, various elements, how some of those elements are arranged on the periodic table, the octet rule, valence electrons. Yeah, he's learned a lot for an 11-year-old. And lastly, I can't forget the games, because games make life fun. So this one is super cool. I found it at the convention, the Great Homeschool Convention. This guy was just selling it. This guy made this game. You just gotta look at this artwork. He drew all this artwork. You can buy it on Amazon too. I looked it up. And he has more than one. I think he has at least 2, maybe 3 different versions of the game. So basically it teaches kids kind of about the importance of valence electrons. And my kids didn't catch on at first, even though we had watched multiple videos, which is the only reason I knew anything about it. We watched those videos because of the male science things that we did. But then we were playing this and I said, hey, do you know why this card does this and that card does that? And they didn't catch on, but I explained it. So that was pretty cool. So this is Science Ninjas Valence. So that's that. Then there's all of these cool games. Professor Noggins. Okay, this is Civil War, history of the United States, and American Revolution. And I got an anatomy one too. So again, like these things are fun. Like what you can do is play these games at lunchtime, for example. And then you will get a question. You'll say, what's that? I don't know much about that. Then you just like look up a YouTube video while they're eating lunch and watch it. And I'm gonna tell you, if you get a good video, those kids remember stuff. You'd be surprised what they remember from some YouTube videos and a game. That's all I have for today. I'm really excited for the new year. I hope you are too. Not that you're gonna go out and buy what I have, but I hope that you are inspired to, you know, find some fun stuff for the new year and make it a good year, and find some stuff that you're interested in and your kids are interested in at the same time. If you haven't already, please follow me on YouTube. And if you like this video, please click thumbs up and please share with your friends. In the meantime, happy homeschooling and have a great day.